Hey folks, Eric Bray, Focus Fishing Guide Service. Got another video fishing report for you for Table Rock. It is Thursday, January the 18th. A couple days late on the video. Got to be honest with you guys. It's too dang cold to be out shooting a video the last couple of days. Got to a blistering 6 degrees on Tuesday around the house here. So yeah, decided not to shoot a video till today. We'll tell you that may not have a video next week. I've got some traveling I need to do, so there's going to be hard for me to get this thing done. I've got a couple of trips I got to make for shows and whatnot, so I don't know that there will be a video next week. I'm going to be on the water this weekend. Was only on the water a couple of days last week, and don't know how much I'm going to get on the water next week with the traveling, so don't know how fresh or how good the intel will be until I get back the week after that. So chances are we probably won't have a video next week. I apologize for that. I know the weather's going to turn around. It's going to be a lot nicer next week, a lot warmer. A lot of guys are going to be hitting the water. Shoot me an email. Let me know how you guys do. But chances are we probably won't have a video next week just because I'll be traveling. I'll be in and out of the area and probably won't get a chance to get on the water much next week. But anyway, I did get on the water a couple of days last week, like I said. Had a couple of nice days on the water. As far as our lake level is concerned, we are at 908.8 as of this morning. Corps been running a bunch of water again to try to meet the power demands with everybody's heaters cranked up, with us being below zero and single digits and everything else for the last 3 or 4 days. They've been running a ton of water. And looking at the forecast, it looks like they're going to continue to run water all the way through the weekend. So there will be a lot of current going through Table Rock this week and this weekend. As far as our water temperature is concerned, was on the water last Friday, the last day I was out. Had a trip scheduled Saturday. Weather turned out not to work out, so wound up not fishing on Saturday. But last Friday, our water temperature was down to about 44.5. I would imagine with how cold it's been the last 2 or 3 days, it's dropped some. As you can see, the creek behind me is pretty iced up. It is melting off today. It was frozen pretty solid over the last couple of days, but takes a while for that lake to cool down, takes a while for it to warm up. I would guess that we're probably in the low to mid 40s, probably 42, 43. As of last Friday, we were right around 44.5. Like I said, did get on the water a couple of days last week, fished the dam area and fished the Kimberling City area. Talked to a couple of guys that fished up in the James and a couple of guys that fished up the White. So I do have a report for all areas of the lake. But if you guys are coming down, say you're going to fish the dam area, I tell you, this current that they've been running has made the deep bite a lot tougher than it was 2-3 weeks ago. Still catching them deep, still catching them on a drop shot rig with either a shad-shaped worm, cut tail worm, UV finesse worm, UV drop shot worm, or the Chomper's drop shot worm. But you've got to get out and fish the main lake. Not a whole lot of fish in the creeks. When they're drawing this much water, it tends to pull those shad out of the creeks, and we wind up having to fish the main lake. It draws the shad out, draws the fish out. To find concentrations of shad, we've had to go to the main lake, and we've had to fish a lot deeper, as deep as 80 feet deep to get bit. You can catch a few doing that. If you're going down to the dam area, I would recommend throwing in either a stick bait or a crankbait right now. Much more consistent bite on a stick bait and a crankbait. Look for those fish to be suspended over anywhere from about 18 to 25 foot of water, mostly on points. With this much current drawing through the lake, it will pull those fish out onto those points, looking for ambush spots. Doing well with the Megabass Vision 110, doing well with the Spromic stick, and not having to pause it a whole lot. When we were out, I guess it was Thursday last week when it was windy, 2-3 second pause and they'd hit it. So you can cover a lot of water on that. Did catch a few down there on the rock crawler, the Curve 55, and the Wiggle Wart as well. Looking at those 45-degree chunk rock or ledge rock type banks really seem to be key. And more or less paralleling them. Those fish are anywhere from about 6 to 10 feet deep, and more or less paralleling those banks has been best with the Wiggle Wart and with the rock crawler or the Curve 55. Go up into the Kimberling City area. Like I said, I did spend a day up there as well. Same deal on the deep bite up there. You can catch a few deep on a drop shot rig with a shad-shaped worm, cut tail worm, UV drop shot worm, or the Chomper's drop shot worm. But again, those fish are out on those main lake points, out on those main lake humps, and they're deep. You got to find the shad, and the shad's been very deep, and the fish have been very deep. Most of them 40 to 80 feet deep. Seems to be where the fish are at, seems to be where the shad are at. You can work up a school, catch 2 or 3 out of it, but the deep bite's been tough. Doing, again, better with a stick bait, doing better with a crankbait down there. Spromic stick, Megabass Vision 110. Again, secondary rocky points, main lake rocky points have definitely been better than going down a bank, doing a lot better. Basically catching those fish suspended anywhere from over about 12, 15 foot deep out to about 25 or 30 feet deep. The fish tend to be only down about 7 to 10 feet deep, so mixed stick or the 110, both are working really well. Not a long pause. Again, it was fairly warm, fairly windy when we were down there, so didn't have to pause it much more than 2 or 3 seconds. With this colder temperature, without any wind, especially bright and sunny, you're probably going to want to have to pause it. Looks like Saturday is going to be windy and cloudy, so you probably won't have to pause it very long. Should be able to catch them on a stick bait down there as well. Crankbait bite's been pretty strong too in the Kimberling City area. Rock crawler, wiggle wart, curve 55, all those baits are working. Basically looking for those chunk rock banks, chunk rock points, or ledge rock banks and points. And the fish are still, they're anywhere from about 7 to 10 feet deep, so you're more or less parallel on those banks. When you run that bait into a rock or into a stump or something, pause it for a second. You'll get a lot more bites if you do that. We did catch a few on a jig down there as well last week when we were in Kimberling City. Most of them seem to be around boat docks. Basically, boat docks on points, especially rocky points in some of the bigger creeks. Mill Creek, Fisher Creek, White's Branch, those creeks like that, Kennel Branch, those creeks. We did catch them around some of those bigger docks. Anywhere from about 8 to about 15 foot deep. The Jewel Pro Spider jig, 7/16 was a little bit better than the 5/16. I think it was just the fall rate was a little bit faster, so got a few more bites doing that. Okeechobee Blue, Green Pumpkin Candy, Watermelon Candy, those were all good colors. And it really seemed like when we were fishing it, the Speed Craw was a better trailer, but if you do have a Bluebird Sky Day, you might want to switch up and put a Beaver on there instead of a Speed Craw. Go up into the James, and like I said, I didn't make it up in the James last week, but a buddy of mine did, and he did fairly well with stick bait up there. He said stick bait bite was his best bite up there, either the Spromic stick or the Vision 110. Again, fishing main lake and secondary points in the bigger creeks, rocky, steeper points. He said it seemed like the fish were suspended over 10 to 18 to 20 feet deep, and didn't have to pause it a long time. Pause it about 5 to 10 seconds, if that, sometimes less than 5 seconds. Kind of change your cadence up until you figure out what the fish want. But a lot of fish came on a stick bait up there. Caught a few on a crankbait as well, wiggle wart, rock crawler, curve 55. All those have been working on those steeper, ledgy type banks, anywhere from about 7 to 10 feet deep, have been basically your best depth to catch those fish on. Working it more or less parallel, and he did catch a few on a jig as well. He was throwing the Jewel football jig instead of the spider jig. He's a football jig kind of guy. 1/2 ounce and 3/8 ounce, anywhere from about 6 to about 12 foot deep. Most of his jig fish came on main lake points, though. He wasn't fishing around boat docks like we were in Kimberling City. He was fishing mostly main lake rocky points, and he said the fish would bite it as he'd pull it from one ledge to another. He'd get a bite, the fish would swim off with it. Not a real hard bite. Had to really pay attention. And then he said the crappie bites actually turned on pretty good up there as well, in the main lake, marked brush piles, and around some of those docks on the main lake that we always catch them on this time of year. Caught a lot of crappie to finish his day off on a old Bobby Garland baby shad, and just a little Bass Pro Squirt were the two baits he caught his crappie on while he was up there. He said he caught a limit in about an hour and a half or 2 hours, so tells me the crappie bites turned on up the James as well. Go up into the White River, and like I said, I didn't make it up into the White myself, but I do have a buddy who was up there last week. He lives up that way, fished 2 days up the White River. Said the stick bait bite was really, really strong up there. Megabass Vision 110 was his best bait. He caught most of his fish on Tennessee shad and that. He did throw a Spromic stick a little bit in Norman Flake, caught a few fish on that, but it's the same bite that it is all over the lake. He said main lake points, and points in the bigger creeks like Big Creek, Mill Creek up there, or in the Baxter area. He really said that those points on the main lake or in the bigger creeks were definitely key, and they had to have rock, had to have a little bit of depth around them. Most of his fish came over 15 to 25 foot deep. Fish were only down 5 or 6, 7 feet deep, but he had to have the boat out in about 30 to get a bite. Channel swing points seemed to really be key for him up there. Caught a few on a rock crawler and a wigglewort when he was up there as well. Same sort of deal, ledgy type, chunk rock banks, 45 degree or even a little bit steeper. Basically keeping the boat 10 foot deep or less and parallel on those banks. Again, did better on points than he did on straight stretches of bank. And then he caught a few on a jig as well. He's a pro spider jig guy like I am. Threw his pro spider jig around docks up there, caught a few around the docks, but actually most of his fish came either main lake or secondary points, ledgy type of stuff. And the bites would come, and he pulled off one ledge and fall down to the other one. It'd be a really soft bite, but you just feel that bait swim away a little bit, or it just gets spongy, or it just wouldn't hit the bottom. So pay attention if you're going to fish a jig up there this week. He caught a lot of fish on Okeechobee Blue. He caught some on peanut butter and jelly, and then he throws gourd green orange. And he was matching it up with just a J-tail or a twin-tail trailer. Seemed to be his best trailer when he was fishing up that way. Guys, it is halfway through January, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm sick of winter. I've had enough of this. This snow and ice can go away. I'm tired of it. Or as the gal who cut my hair the other day said, she's over it, I'm ready for spring. But the fishing really hasn't been that bad, and with a warming trend, it's going to get good. It's really going to get good. I really think we're going to start catching a lot more fish on a stick bait like we did last week. The deep bite will come back once they shut this water off and get more of a normal flow or a normal generation schedule. I really think our deep bite will come back and it'll get strong again. And the jig bite's been strong, and the crankbait bite actually turned on quite a bit, a little bit more than I expected it to, but we have been catching fish on a crankbait, stick bait, jig. Deep bite will come back. Do have a little bit of an announcement. Proud to announce that I will be running a Nitro Z21 this year. And we'll be running a Mercury on that, so looking forward to that. Ordered the boat last week, should be here in, I don't know, 6 to 8 weeks. So, and I've got my Ranger for sale if anybody's interested in an 05 520 VX with new carpet and new seats and a bunch of other new stuff on it. Get a hold of me. But yeah, pretty excited about that. And we got a lot of good fishing coming up, and we'll have a new boat to do it out of. But if you guys are coming down, maybe you're thinking about hiring a guide, remember we're running winter rates now through the end of February. So if you're coming down, want to hire a guide, want to go fishing, give me a call. It's Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743. Hit my website, focusfishing.com. Shoot me an email or book online. Either way, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But guys, thanks for watching the videos. Thanks for being patient this week. Sorry we probably won't have a video next week, but thanks for watching. Please take a moment to subscribe if you don't mind. Can't wait to hear from you. We'll see you on the water.